Chapter 6, Cash Flow Determination 2, which is under Setting Bid Price. Chapter Learning Outcome. At the end of this chapter, students should be able to first compute the cash flow of the project, and the second is to develop the managerial skills through decision making of the cash flow. For chapter outline, which represent the topic that we'll cover in this chapter, at first, you will learn a decision-making process which under evaluating cost-cutting proposal. The second one is setting bid price, and the last one is under project with different life, which is under unequal life. Basically, in this chapter, it covers more on calculations under how to calculate the bid price and also how to calculate the cost under unequal life project. As an introduction of this chapter, the main purpose of this chapter is to help in decision making based on cost cutting strategy. Meaning that in this chapter, it's more on evaluations on how company can make a decision by looking at the cost which it is more preferred for the company to choose the low cost project. There are two topics available in this chapter. The topics are setting bid price and unequal life. In this video, it's more focused on setting bid price where you will learn on how to calculate the bid price. What is a bid price? The purpose is to determine the lower selling price per unit that a company can offer for making profit. This means under setting bid price, you will calculate the minimum value of selling price that a firm should set to make sure that they can able to generate profit. In this video, you also will learn in detail on how to calculate selling price per unit, which is P. To calculate for selling price per unit, which is P, there are several formulas that you should know based on the list of formulas. The first formula is on how to calculate depreciation, where the formulas for depreciation equals to initial outlay or project cost divided with the maturity period. And the second formula is on how to calculate after-tax salvage value, which is ATSV, where to get ATSV, it is equal to salvage value before tax times with 1 minus tax. The third formula is on how to calculate operating cash flow, which is OCF, where to calculate operating cash flow, you will use financial calculator. And here is the command that you will use to calculate OCF by using financial calculator. Based on the command given here, that is the way on how you should calculate by using the financial calculator. PV here represent present value. FV is represent future value. N represent maturity period or useful life. IY represent by rate of return. PMT and also compute, which is CPT. Based on this command of the financial calculator, here is represent the information that you need to know before we can calculate by using financial calculator. So the information that you should know to calculate PV, must equals to initial outlay, which is IO, plus with net working capital, which is NWC. And then for future value, the information that you need to know is ATSV, which is after tax salvage value, plus with net working capital. And then for N common, the information that you will use is N, represented by maturity period. And for IY, the information that you need to know is regarding I, represented by required rate of return. And the last formula is on how to calculate selling price per unit, which is P, using OCF formulas and the tax shield approach. Based on the formula of OCF and the tax shield approach, you will calculate the value of P, which represent by the minimum value of selling price per unit. And based on the OCF formulas and the tax shield, it will equals to Q, represented by quantity, time with P, which is selling price per unit, minus with the variable cost, which is VC, and then minus with FC, represented by fixed cost, and will be time with 1 minus tax, plus with depreciation time with tax. So here is the fourth formula that you will use to calculate minimum selling price per unit under setting bid price. Practice for calculations on setting bid price. Here is the examples of the questions. Based on these questions, a well-known telecommunication company is bidding. From the word of bidding, that is a key to mention that these questions is related with the setting bid price question. To supply ATT communication with digital mobile radio, which is DMR, equipment for a minimum contract of 4 years. So the 4 years given here represent by maturity period or the useful life of the equipment, represent N equals to 4 years. The contract required the company to produce 2,000 DMR per year. Unit of produce here represent Q, which is the quantity of the production. The setup cost of the necessary equipment to do the constructions of DMR is 15 million. So the amount of cost represent by initial outlay or IO. So the cost of the project or the initial outlay of the project is RM 15 million. It will depreciate on a straight line basis to zero over the project life. Depreciate on a straight line basis, that is information regarding depreciation value of the equipment, where based on this information, you are required to calculate the amounts of depreciation. The company expects to sell the equipment for 3 million at the end of the 4 years. The selling price at the end of the maturity period is represented by salvage value. So based on this information, the salvage value, which is SV, for the project equals to 3 million. Next information, variable cost is 10,000 per DMR and the total fixed cost is 55 million ringgit. So the variable cost here represent VC, which is equals to RM 10,000, and the total fixed cost here represented by FC. The company needs to invest an initial net working capital of 22 million. So based on this information, it's given the amounts of initial net working capital, which is NWC. If the tax rate is 35%, so based on this information, so the tax rates given here is 35% and the required rate of return on this contract is 20%. So the required rate of returns represent by I and the amounts of I is 20%. So based on the information, the question is what is the minimum bid price the company should set for the sales of DMR? So meaning that the question asks you to calculate the minimum price that the company should sell to make sure that they are able to generate profit by selling at the price. And to answer for that questions regarding what is the minimum bid price the company should set for the sales of DMR, to calculate that minimum bid price, there are 4 steps that available for you to follow to make it easy for you to calculate in terms of the minimum bid price. Where the first step is to calculate depreciation. So based on the depreciation formulas, it will equals to initial outlay or the project cost divided with the maturity period, which is N. And based on the information from the questions, it mentioned that the cost is 50 million ringgit and the maturity period is 4. So we will divide 50 million with 4 and you will get the depreciation value is RM 12.5 million. And for the second step, you will calculate after tax salvage value, which is ATSV. And to calculate for after tax salvage value, the formula is salvage value times with 1 minus tax. And the salvage value given in the question is RM 3 million times with the 1 minus tax rate given at 35%. So you will get the answer for ATSV is 1.95 million ringgit. And for the step 3, you will calculate the operating cash flow, which is OCF, by using financial calculator. And to calculate OCF by using financial calculator, you must make sure that you follow this command on how you will calculate using financial calculator, and then to make sure that the command is fulfilled by the information. So here is the information that you need to know before you can calculate it by using financial calculator. So for the first command, which is regarding PV, the information that you need to know is regarding initial outlay plus with the net working capital. So initial outlay is 50 million plus with the 22 million net working capital, the amount is 72 million. So when you are using financial calculator, you will press 72 million and then plus minus key button and then press with the PV button. And then for FV command, the information that you need to know is regarding ATSV plus with net working capital. And based on the information, ATSV equal to 1.95 million plus with net working capital 22 million, you will get the amount is 23.95 million. So when you are using financial calculator, you will insert 23.95 million and then you will press the buttons of FB. And then for N command, N equals to 4 years, represented by maturity period of the equipment or the project. So 4 and then you will press N button, and then for IY command, you will insert the amounts of required rate of return given, which is I, represented by 20%. So 20, press with the buttons of IY, and then you will press the key buttons of PMT, and the last one is compute. And then when you are press the key buttons of compute, you will get the answer directly from the financial calculator. The amounts of OCF equals to 23 million ringgit, 351,000 192 ringgit and 25 cent. So this is the amounts of OCF. And for the last step, which is under step number 4, you will calculate selling price per unit, which is P, by using OCF formulas under tax shield approach. So based on tax shield approach, here is the formulas for OCF, where based on the formulas of OCF, you will find out the amounts of P here, because P here represent the selling price per unit. So you will insert all of the information regarding OCF, Q, VC, FC, tax depreciation, and also tax rate. Okay, so you will insert all of the information into the formulas where you will find out the amounts of the P. So based on the information, OCF is 23.351 192.25 million equals to Q is 2000 given. P we will find out P minus with VC 10,000 minus with FC 55 million, and then time with 1 minus tax rate plus with depreciation value 12.5 million, time with the tax 0.35, and then you will solve the equation to get the amount of P, and then at the end you will get the answer of P equals to 52,097 ringgit and 7 cents. So this is the answer, represent the minimum selling price that the company should set to make sure that they are able to get the profit. So to explain for the answer, we can explain that the minimum price that the company should set for the sale is 52,027 ringgit and 7 cent. If the company sell at lower price than this minimum price, the company will lose. So that is the way on how you can calculate the minimum selling price under setting bid price. That's all for chapter 6 under topic setting bid price. Thank you.